to the United Stands Fans Forum. We made a bit of a meal of it, but it is 4-2 to Manchester United. 3 points collected at home to Sheffield United. Manchester United hopefully are back on track. We saw some really good bits. We saw some few individual errors as well. We're going to get into it with Kev, Tull and Ricky. We are here on the Fans Forum. Nearly forgot your name then, Tull.
I know.
but we got there in the end. It's 6 goals. I'm not used to seeing that at the moment from Manchester United. To be fair, in terms of how many we can see, then maybe, yeah. But look, we got the job done. We got it over the line. Was it ever in doubt, Kev?
It certainly was, yeah. I think when the game kicked off, I'm looking again, I'm thinking Casemiro at the back, can we get away with this one again? And do you know what? It's the first time this season I look at that team and I thought we controlled the game. Thought Eriksen started really well in the middle of the park, and I'm thinking, sound, I like this. And up around the 20-minute mark, 80% possession, I'm thinking we're controlling this. It's only a matter of time before we'll score. And then Onana, who's been brilliant recently, it's a wild pass to go across your own goal. Maybe something we'll get into, but they take the lead, which I thought was against the run of play. And I'm thinking, my God, it's Groundhog Day again. I thought it's happening again. How do we keep doing this? But fair play. They've dug in. We've come from behind, twice in this game. We've managed to win it 4-2. I'm sure there'll be rival fans in the chat, whatever. They will beat us with the fact that this is only Sheffield United. This is United's level now, beating teams like this and that. You can only beat what's in front of you. We've got a massive FA Cup final at the end of the season. These players need to realise, they can't be in beach mode. No sombreros on, beach balls out and all that.
If you want league to play for.
Well, you still have that as well. I'm not really that interested in it, if I'm being honest. But the FA Cup final, if these players want to be selected, I want them to be selected on form. So from now till the end of the season, it's almost like an open audition. Who wants that place in the team?
Got a couple of players on form that we're going to speak about in a second. Everyone joins over from Mark's final score. But Tull, Liverpool out the title race tonight. Everton up the toffees, 2-0. You've got Newcastle losing as well, who we spoke about on the build-up show, will level on points with us, so we go 3 points ahead of them. And I do want Europa League because I don't want to be in the conference, so I think that's important. And all in all, maybe sometimes in the game you might have been a little bit worried that it was going to be a disaster, but 3 points over the line. Are you feeling good?
Yeah, happy about it. We make hard work of it, but we always do. I said to Ricky, I can't believe we thought we were going to keep a clean sheet. Honestly, this team cannot keep a clean sheet to save their lives. If their lives depended on it, they couldn't do it. Honest to God. But look, we've won the game. Not too much to complain about, to be honest with you. Obviously, it'd be nice if we can concede a little less shots on goal, a little less counter-attacks, but we've got the job done, haven't we?
Well, Jason Wilcox apparently, I don't believe this story, but apparently asked for possession-based football from Ten Hag tonight and said he wants to see possession-based football.
I can't believe you've said that.
It must be easier to do that against the likes of Sheffield United, but still, we got much more possession-based football, didn't we, Ricky?
Absolutely we did, and I just said to you before we went live that I think a lot of that, certainly in the first half, was to do with Christian Eriksen playing, and I also think that rubs off on other players, and I also think Bruno, I said to you before the game that I was thinking that was rubbing off on Bruno, and he kept the game more simple than he usually does and played really well. But now that you're telling me that they were ordered to do that, I'm absolutely astounded, to be honest, because it's what I thought was happening, but I thought it for a different reason.
I don't think he needed Jason Wilcox to inform. I'm sure Ten Hag...
Well, I think he did. I think he did, to be honest, Kev, considering what we've been like recently.
Well, if that's true, then Jason Wilcox is worth his weight in gold, because we've been waiting all season to see the way that United started that game, because we never play on the front foot. We never show our intentions from the start. It's almost like we just sit back and are like, what have you lot got, and play that counter-attacking football. Whereas this evening, I thought we just started really well. It took me by surprise the way we actually started. But I think I mentioned Eriksen before, and Ricky's spot on. I think Eriksen was a big key to that. It was, as Ricky would say, just keeping it simple in the middle of the park. Simple passes, easy passes. not Mainoo's greatest game, but in that midfield, you know, the way the two of them, they're just so calm on the ball. It's, the only thing is, I mean, with Christian Eriksen, we know that it gets up to the 64th minute or whatever, and that's kind of him done, isn't it? Which it is a shame. If you had the Eriksen of maybe 7 years ago, you know, we'd be looking next season and go, you build a team kind of around him. But I think we know that we need, without a shadow of a doubt, extra legs in the middle of the park.
Well, Ricky doesn't agree with you that Eriksen fades out. I agree with you, though. I said that in the build-up.
Well, he does, because that's why he got took off.
He does fade out. But, Ricky, I've got one thing to say to you.
Go on.
Bruno. Kev?
You know what Bruno's...
Kev, are you finishing the song for me?
Not Bruno's argument. Ricky's argument now is going to be that Eriksen made Bruno play really well.
Put it on a
He did in the first half.
I know you mentioned it before.
Have a day off. Have a day off.
Yeah, well, he didn't score his goals in the first half, did he? It was all in the second half.
Oh, Bruno Fernandes.
In the first half, they played really well.
Do you know what?
Like Cristiano.
We probably played better in the first half than we did in the second half, if you think about it. You know, they couldn't get the ball off us in the first half, and then obviously Onana does that. You can't legislate for that.
No.
In the first half, we dominated that game more than we've dominated any league game. We kept possession of the ball right throughout the half, played really well. Some people will say it's only Sheffield United. I'll come back on that and say we didn't play as well as that against Newport County. We didn't play as well as that against Wigan Athletic. We didn't didn't dominate possession like we did in that game today against them teams.
True.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm like 50-50 with the chat at the minute because some of them are going in on me for about Onana, but then I've got like 50-50 coming back up on me because I always defend Bruno, so I'm a bit like, I'm kind of like that at the minute.
Half and half.
Do you know what it is? Obviously, I'll address the Onana mistake because apparently I'm the spokesperson for Onana on this channel. But obviously, terrible mistake is what it is. Like, it's a mistake. People make them. At the end of the day, if we didn't have Onana in goal, we would have been suffering one of the most embarrassing losses in United's history against Coventry in the FA Cup final. In the FA Cup semi-final.
Just doing his job.
At the end of the day, yeah, he makes a mistake, goes from hero to zero, but we end up winning the game. Doesn't cost us anything. So it is what it is. And
he's made mistakes this season. Some people will say he's solely responsible for the fact that we exited the Champions League. But lately, like you say, even the weekend, on the fans forum after the Coventry game, I was all there for Onana's, like, what I call football shithousery.
Showing
because
a bit of bottle.
Well, he got into the heads of the penalty takers, and there's one thing, David Hay never really saved penalties for United. Whenever you went into a shootout, you were never confident that you'd get anywhere near it, and Onana was brought in to address, you know, a problem like that, and I thought he was brilliant at the weekend. But again, you have to react to what you've seen, and it's forgivable because we've won the game, but it could have been costly. You know, you don't play a pass like that, and he was at fault for that goal, but he's been good recently.
He was at fault. I feel like it's not too uncommon to concede goals like that these days. I feel like it's a risky take on when you want to play that type of football, when you start from the keeper. I feel like I've seen Alisson do it a lot of times at Liverpool. The only keeper I've not seen do it is Ederson, but he's the one who sets the standard, isn't he? He's the best at it. But I feel like it's not that uncommon to concede goals like that these days, to be honest with you. It's a bad mistake, but to be honest with you, it's the only notable Onana mistake I can really think of in 2024, to be honest with you. I think he's been stellar so far this after his little
improved.
After his
unsteady start.
Yeah, unsteady start in the Champions League. I think he's grown into it. I think he has grown into it big time, so I can take a mistake like that on.
What I think I would say is what I was thinking at the time. I was thinking, obviously, you know, there's things that need addressing in terms of Manchester United and progressing their style of play and everything like that. But I was thinking, Eric Ten Hag cannot catch a break with these individual errors. Like, how many pens have we given away recently? How many stupid, sloppy mistakes of individuals caused us to concede goals?
4 pens in 5 games now. 4 pens in 5 games, I think.
Well, we didn't concede a pen today.
Did we not give a...
We didn't give a pen away, did we? We got a pen.
Oh no, we got a pen.
Yeah, we got a pen.
My bad.
But we can be. I mean, the way Onana passed it to him, it might as well have been. Do you know what I mean? So it's like been just stuff like that, and you think we're dominating the game, we're controlling the game, and then something like that. I was thinking, you know, Sheffield United might well just park the bus here, and we might struggle to break them down, you know, against a low block. Luckily, we managed to score quite quickly thanks to Harry Maguire. We managed to get things back underway, but it's one of them where Ten Hag must be like...
That's exactly what I was going to say, because the people that are all like, oh, Eric Ten Hag, you know, he's useless, get this fraud out of our club and all that. I always say... Do you think he's set up that team, you know, and gone, right, let's go out, you know, we're going to control the game? That is out of his hands when Onana decides to play, you know, to play that pass. It's not, it cuts to Eric Ten Hag on the side, and like you say, he must be looking and thinking, what are you doing? You know, individual silly mistakes. And it's something Ten Hag said, you know, United need to rid themselves of this, because it will, you know, it will be costly. It has been this season, you know. If Onana makes that mistake, like saying that in an FA Cup final or whatever, you know, everybody will go absolutely mental. That's the fine lines. You cannot, in the big games, you can't make them mistakes.
Yeah, and not only...
Because you will get punished big time.
Not only mistakes, that leads me on to Tull. Garnacho today, like, I thought the way he got into the positions was really good. I thought he worked with Diallo really well. He was getting into dangerous positions, but realistically, I think he had like 3 big chances. I think he should have scored at least 2 of them. And then there's some occasions as well where I'm thinking, you've got to cross that in instead of going for
that's
goal.
That's what I was about to get into.
Isn't it?
It's not even the chances that's frustrating me with him. It's the amount of times he can put the ball into the box and he dilly-dallies and he cuts back and he brings Diallo into the game, or he'll go back to Bruno, but I just think, just put the ball in first time, just get the ball in the box. He put a really good cross in actually in the second half, and Hojlund just about didn't get to it, but I thought, we only put about 2 or 3 crosses a game in the box. About 2 or 3 of those crosses actually make it into the box. We should be putting near 20 of them in.
Do you think that is like an instruction? Because Garnacho's not the only one. You see Rashford do it, Anthony, as Ricky will know, often will cut back when you think, get the ball in the box first time, cuts back, maybe it's on his, you know, his stronger foot or whatever, but would that be an instruction from Ten? I can't get my head around it.
To a certain extent, I think if you're a football player, you will overrule certain instructions. I mean, even if you're getting told to be a bit more patient, if you see the cross is on, you're going to put the cross in the box.
You should do, yeah.
You'd imagine so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I know what Ricky's going to say. He's going to say
playing the wingers on the right,
a right foot and a left foot, and it'd be more natural to him, wouldn't you, Ricky?
Absolutely. And he does have a point.
Absolutely, it would. It'd be more natural, without a doubt. We did get a goal from a cross by Garnacho on the left with his right foot, didn't we? Which is, you know, a little bit unusual, I suppose, but it did happen for us today. I don't know if anybody watched it on the box. I managed to just get a glimpse of it. Obviously, I was at the match, so you don't get a replay at the match. But I did get a glimpse of it, you know, underneath the stand at half-time. He looks about a yard offside to me, Harry Maguire.
It was a great header from Harry Maguire.
It was a great header, but he looks about a yard offside. Did anybody see what they said on the screen? I've got to see that on VAR. I don't understand it. He looks a yard off, but anyway.
We'll take it.
Well, yeah, we'll take it.
We'll talk about the goal scorers. I mean, I want to start off with Rasmus Hojlund, because obviously we were talking about him on the build-up show. It's been a bit of a dry spell for him. Received a little bit of criticism, but also a lot of people understanding the lack of service. It's kind of a mixed bag at the minute with him. But today, worked his socks off again. Overall performance-wise, Ricky, what did you think, and were you happy for him with his goal?
I was pleased that he scored, yeah. His performance was just okay, no more. You know, he always works hard. Sometimes his touch lets him down, and he's... I don't know, he's just not strong enough. Although he was pretty strong today, he knocked the centre-backs around a bit as much as they did him today. I would say he played pretty well today, yeah, more than okay.
And it was nice to see...
And good for him to get a goal as well.
Yeah, obviously it's a striker's goal, he's got to score that, but he's very quick to get onto it, and that's something that you need. But in regards to Bruno, I thought the awareness in that situation was so good from him. Like, he had a defender coming straight in, he just rolls it across the perfect pass. I mean, a lot of talk, Kev, that, you know, Bruno and Hojlund had fallen out and he was annoyed that Bruno didn't pass to him enough. Well, he got a pass today and they seemed very chummy to me when they were celebrating. Yeah,
they look quite happy, so that probably puts that one to bed. And all you want is them to be doing the business on the field. Hojlund has come in for criticism. He's a goal scorer. So the longer that goal drought goes on, we know before he scored the 7 in 6, before he got the injury, you know, leading up to that goal trail, question marks were being asked, and of course they're going to be asked because United have spent so much money on him. But at the same time, I've got, you know, I look at it and I think he is a young lad, you know, and we've pinned all our hopes on him. We've spent a lot of money on him, but, you know, has he been overplayed? Maybe if United had a backup striker or somebody just to take the heat off, have we rushed him back from injury in the past, which I firmly believe we have done. But yeah, getting the goal is a major, major thing, because we know that any striker will work off confidence. So that's huge for him. And I think in the last couple of games, I'm listening to you in the build-up show, and you're on about his hold-up play, and that clearly that is something that he does need to work on. But he is young, and hopefully that will come with time.
Exactly, that comes with an experienced striker. Told, did you want to say something?
Yeah, one more thing we mentioned in the build-up show about Hojlund is we compared him to McTominay, and the runs, he doesn't quite make those runs for me, where when McTominay came on the pitch, it's like just natural for him. He just always makes that run, and he's always in behind the defence, and it seems like Bruno half the time finds him. I just wish Hojlund was a little bit more intelligent with his runs. I do think it'll come with time, but it is one part of his game, I think. We really do miss out on that.
I don't think you can teach that.
One thing I was thinking, because I was thinking the same thing, and one thing I was thinking might be the reason is, have you noticed Hojlund's always like up against the defenders, so there's not really much space to run into unless you straight away on the ball, because you've got to make sure you're offside, whereas McTominay a lot of times he's running from deeper, so it's easier to kind of anticipate and catch that run, because you're not, you know, you're running from deep, and you've got a bit to go at it, whereas if you're on the line of the defender, you've got to be so quick to kind of like accelerate away, have the ball come at the right time where you're not offside as well. I agree, his runs do need to be better, and you know, like you said, a Cavani would be so good to kind of like
Edinson Cavani right now would be perfect.
Because you know, Cavani used to like drop in, drop out. You know, that sort of movement Hojlund needs to work on, because a lot of the time he's not static because he's moving a lot, but he's just like in the line of defence where he needs to be coming in, out, in, out. That'll come with experience, and hopefully, I'm thinking, you know, the coaching staff, come on, like he's got the attributes, he's got the height, he's got physicality, he's got speed. He's a massive United fan, works hard, like, you know, he's just got things that he needs to polish.
His work rate's never in doubt. That's the one thing every game you can say, you know, he runs his balls off, whatever, you know, he's never a doubt. But I think that's a great point that you make there, because maybe that's something you could take from, you know, Harry Kane's kind of game, you know, where maybe if he's not involved in a game, he looks to come and drop deep. And there is no doubt that Hojlund, with his ball, if he drops into that kind of number 10 role and he starts running at defenders, there's nothing worse for a defender if you see an attacker running straight at you. So in theory, Hojlund playing last man or on the shoulder of a defender can make life very easy for them, you know, and that it almost makes him look like he's just like isolated and on his own, which we've seen a hell of a lot of this season. And there's also an argument that the wingers have overlooked him on certain occasions, the likes of Rashford, Garnacho. When he went through that scoring, the 7 goals in 6 games, it was almost like they just discovered that Hojlund played for United, and we were like, right, you know, it's all coming together now, you know. But it seems to have dropped off again, and I thought that was evident the other week. Was it Bournemouth when Rashford hits the side netting and Hojlund's made that? He's still making these runs, and I keep saying this. And Rashford decides to take a shot from a stupid angle, hits the side netting, and when you see it broken down, then Hojlund's, you know, screaming for a tap in, but it's making the right, you know, the right decisions at that right time in his defence.
Something as well, I have to say, like, welcome to the graveyard shift. Like, Martial got absolute pelters for years, but he was working the same shift. It's something that we need to work on in Manchester United. Happy for him to get his goal though, for sure. Got some super chats in. Connor W, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. Patrice Evra, couldn't see even got a picture of him.
He was there on Sunday.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Is that Justin Timberlake next to Ricky?
No.
Siraj Mukherjee says, Rashi, comes in, entire structure messes up with Garner to the right and Ahmad going out and Bruno starting to play the Hojlund passes again to Rashi. Hey, we're going to talk about Rashford in a second.
I thought Bruno was nice and patient today. That's what I liked about Bruno today. He was very patient, he didn't force it too much.
Yeah, I agree. He's been like that the last couple of games, I've noticed. SK says what happened was that Rashi didn't play and we kept the ball. Bruno only goes rogue when players don't put the effort in. He tries to pick up the slack. Interesting.
That is an interesting point.
Who made that point?
SK.
That's a good point.
Because
mate.
I would say when you got Hojlund who will set the press, but if the wingers aren't doing it, this is where Bruno looks totally erratic and he's out left. And if that ball starts getting passed around the back, that's when Bruno starts scanning and running around, and it looks like he's a headless chicken now. One person at this moment, obviously that didn't play this evening, is a Rashford, and people have been, questioning his work rate, and he's not tracking back. He's not pressing. Clearly evident against Coventry at the weekend. That's a great point. That.
Do you know what? I actually massively agree with you as well, because I didn't pick up on the connection, but today I was thinking, Bruno seems a lot more just chilled.
Yeah, he wasn't erratic and running around like a headless chicken.
I actually thought the front four, because Bruno presses with Hojlund and they all kind of press together, but when they start the press, I thought it was a lot better than what we usually see, and it was a lot more cohesive. So maybe that has something to do with it as well. Nemo de Fish says the only way we can move forward is to stick with Ten Hag. Today, players need to learn that manager is not the first one to go. Schwado says, what a snorefest, but a win is a win. Also, saw you at the match, Beth. You're in the same stand as me. Haha, Ten Hag in. Should have come up and said hello to me. DG Tonti says, Bruno. Why do our players have to make it difficult to win? It's almost... I don't know what that means. Love you all, especially Ricky, GGMU. Tom Calvin says, Hojlund scoring hits different. Woke up at 3 a.m. for this game. Dedication, some might say, or insanity. Haha. LJ says, Hojlund is not it. It's very alarming when a pro footballer doesn't have a steady first touch. If he hasn't got a good first touch, now he never will. These are the basics, fundamentals in youth football. I think that's OTT, to be honest.
Me too.
Because, you've seen his touch in the Champions League when he's took it out and dribbled the whole course of the pitch and then just dinked it over the keeper. He's got stuff to his game.
I'll tell you something with Hojlund as well. He's got a lot of unnecessary pressure piled on him this season. One, because of the fact he cost 70 million quid, and I suppose that's part and parcel of being a 70 million pound player. But the fact that he's the only striker striker we've got. He's 20 years old. He's the same age as me. 20 years old, playing up top every game, twice a week. I don't think all these criticisms we've had of Hojlund today, he could be better getting in behind, he could be better with his back to goal. We probably wouldn't even be talking about it if we had an experienced striker playing, and Hojlund being the side piece, the side dish. We probably wouldn't even be mentioning these things, because realistically, as a 20-year-old striker, it's what you expect. It's what you expect from a 20-year-old striker. So I think he's got a lot of unnecessary pressure piled on him.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's not like he's got a bad first touch, because he's not. He's got good close control. I think it's just the sharpness. The sharpness and making the decisions really quickly, always having your head on a swivel, and sometimes he just seems a little bit stuck on, I don't know, do I pass this off, do I turn, so he just needs to be quicker in the moment, but that'll come.
It was like the weekend, wasn't it, against Coventry, when he gets the ball played in and you're thinking shoot, he gets the ball stuck and then he doesn't know whether to go left or right, and it was that was a striker that, for me, confidence-wise, whereas this evening, getting that goal, hopefully he can get back on the goal trail.
And you're always going to be like that as well when you're not used to having it. He barely gets any surface, so it's when he does
it was almost bloody hell, I've got it.
When you're constantly doing them things, it comes a lot more natural, but when it's once in a blue moon, you're getting the ball, you're oh, you know what I mean? It's more difficult. Patrice Everett says, Beth looks happy. Definitely rum in that cup. Straight vodka in this cup, mate. Alex Marman says, no coincidence that our best play occurred with Ahmad and Garnacho on the wings. Also, Wheatley ran more in 9 minutes than Rashford has all season too. We're going to talk about that as well. Rudolph the Red says, Ricky, thoughts on Bruno today?
Played pretty well today.
Can I just say something on Bruno as well, and then we'll move on?
But why did he play well, Rick?
First half, a lot of it was to do with the team playing well, keeping possession of the ball. A lot of that was to do with Eriksen playing, but he played really well first half. Apart from a couple of really, really poor runs into offside positions, twice getting caught offside. I heard a stat on the TV, it blew my mind about 3 or 4 weeks back, so they'd probably played about 30 games at the time, that Erling Haaland had been caught offside once all season. That's about understanding that you've got. It's quite easy. You keep your eye on one man and you don't go past that man. You can't really have your head on a swivel and see who's that side, but you keep your eye on one man. He got caught offside. He must have been 4 yards offside on one run and at least 2 yards offside on another run.
Yeah, that one was silly. The way he drifted didn't need to.
There's a few poor things involved as well. Don't worry about that.
One thing I wanted to say on Bruno before we do move on is, I think, people who say, oh, we can't play possession-based football with Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes will never be able to be a number 10 in a possession-based side. Goldberg just said that a few times, just saying. I don't agree, and I think today proved it. I mean, we had how much possession today? The majority of possession, Bruno was creating all game, and he was pulling the strings. He was a lot calmer. He can play in a possession-based side. Like Ricky said, it's a lot easier when you have a team around you that is knocking it about nicely. Eriksen did contribute to that, and you have players around you.
Ricky's kind of agreeing with that, isn't he, by saying that Eriksen being in that team. But what would you say to that super chat, Ricky, that the Rashford not starting maybe made Bruno's game a bit more less erratic, shall we say?
I think you're going to do better without Marcus playing. He runs into trouble all the time, but Garnacho does a lot of that as well. I think Anthony looks after the ball better. I know we'll probably speak about Ahmed in a bit, so I won't say what I'm going to say yet about Ahmed. But we need more players like him who keep the ball better. Our wingers who actually look after the ball better are in this order. Ahmed's first. Rashford's probably last. Garnacho third last. It's probably Ahmed, then Anthony, and then Garnacho, and then Rashford. So to me, the players who look after the ball better are the better players.
Because you're keeping that possession turning over.
I'm not counting Sancho, by the way, who's on loan, because he's still a Man United player. The two wingers who look after the ball the best are Ahmed and Sancho. But he's not with us at the minute, is he?
Because you turn the ball over, so you're less likely to break on you, you're less likely to be caught out, and you can keep kind of turning over possession and creating. I get that. I mean, let's talk about Rashford not being in the team today. I mean, do you guys think it made a big difference? Did you prefer it without him being in there? Do you think Ten Hag needs to realise, look, Rashford's not played today, the world didn't burn down, like, we still scored 4 goals. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you think what do you think about his omission from the side?
At the risk of being clipped up and being called toxic and all that nonsense and agenda-driven, I'm gonna, don't you worry. Hearing that he was actually injured today, I said it earlier on in like the Van Cam kind of thing, I thought it was a blessing in disguise, because I thought he needed taking out the team for whatever reason it is. I don't know whether he has it written into his contract that he has to play every game or start every game or whatever it is.
He won't be that.
I don't know what it is, but it's actually got to the stage, it's that ridiculous. He is not performing on the field. Why does he keep getting selected? And I'm looking at Ten Hag and I'm thinking, if you want to sack yourself, keep choosing Marcus Rashford. I don't understand why he keeps putting his faith in somebody who's giving him absolutely nothing back. So for me today, when I heard he was injured, I was one of them United fans today beating the drum. I want to see Ahmad in then. Obviously, he didn't go with that. Not the kind of popular opinion. It was Ten Hag's guy in Anthony. That's fair enough. I didn't mind. It was something different. Yes, it was only Sheffield United, but we've gone out there, we've scored 4 goals. I thought attacking-wise in the first half, we had great moments, a lot of possession, a lot of corners. Attacking-wise, it looked good and it flowed. And if Rashford needs taking out for a bit to get the fire in his belly, for me, he just needs to re-kickstart his career if he wants to at United. But part of this now would be, for me, if I was a manager, I'd say, well, you're going to have to work hard to get in this team. I don't care whether you're on the highest paid player at the club, whatever. There are other lads here, younger, more enthusiastic, that want to be in this starting 11. Give me a reason to pick you. It starts on the training ground. It starts everywhere. Attitude. application, everything. But on the field, especially against Coventry at the weekend, I know whether these stories are true or whatever, that the Coventry players were shocked at the way that Rashford played. But I watched it with my own eyes, and I thought it was absolutely shocking to see. But wasn't surprised because I've seen it so many times this season. I can't put my finger on what it is, but there's something just not right there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think...
Sorry for going on one then. I think I spoke for about 10 minutes.
No, I think with Rashford, a lot of people hear what you're saying. He's just not been at the races for a long time. And today, we proved we could still play football without him. And I actually think going forward, I don't know if it's the opposition, I don't know what it is, but like you said, we've played other teams this season. I think we looked more cohesive as a unit without him, personally. I mean, Ricky, Tull?
I actually feel like, I said this a couple of weeks ago, and it's just complete speculation. When I watch Marcus Rashford play football at the moment, I almost feel like he's coming into games carrying weight on his shoulders. It almost feels like there's something going on in his personal life or something, which is almost like getting in the way. I said to someone the other day, it won't surprise me if you end up seeing like an interview or something at the end of the season. He's playing like he's grieving or something like that. His confidence just looks absolutely shot. I do think one thing as well, I think he would really benefit from having Luke Shaw back. I think he's missing Luke Shaw big time. But
do you think people love to make excuses for Rashford all the time, though? Like,
I almost feel like that now.
Won't Garnacho play even better if Luke Shaw's playing behind him?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I think anybody would, in fairness.
Tell you what, I feel sorry for whoever has Wan-Bissaka behind him. Jesus, Nora. I'm sorry, Wan-Bissaka going forward. It's terrible.
It's like having a dance-off, isn't it?
It's terrible. He looks like he's never controlled a football before. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not it. Against teams like this, it proper exposes him. Felt sorry for Anthony after. Anthony was like, "What are you doing, mate?" Like, Anthony wasn't great either, but like, Wan-Bissaka is making the wrong runs. He's dancing around the football. I can't stand it, honestly, to watch it. And I know people in the chat love Wan-Bissaka. He's great 1v1 tackling. Everything else, it's a no from me.
My problem with Wan-Bissaka, if you compare him to Diallo, we got them very similar times. I think we bought Diallo the season before we bought Wan-Bissaka. But when you look at since Diallo was signed, there's been a clear development. He's really improved as a player on all aspects. Whereas Wan-Bissaka, to me, still feels like the player we signed. He doesn't really seem to have developed one bit from how long ago
when we signed Wan-Bissaka for 50 million quid, we still had Ashley Young, who's played half a game in a winning match against Liverpool tonight. He's 38 now. So he's been fine.
Don't go down this route with me again.
He's been fine in all that time. He's been fine in all that time. We had Ashley Young, we had Matteo Darmian, who's won Serie A twice and played in a European Cup final. We did not need to spend £50 million on Adam Wan-Bissaka. We should have kept Matteo Darmian and Ashley Young, and we already had Diallo.
Come on, Inter Milan.
I'm not sure about Ashley
One thing I
Young.
would say is if you watch Wan-Bissaka and you watch Diallo tonight, it's like night and day. Like what they're providing.
But with testament to Diallo, easily the most improved, player at Manchester United under Eric Ten Hag. Anyway,
I'm so glad.
Easily.
I'm so glad this Ten Hag swapped him back round to there. But yeah, I mean, on Rashford, I do think, like you said before, like obviously if there is something going on behind the scenes, wish him all the best. But Ten Hag is the one who's choosing to play him, and he's just not been good enough. And I think today it's like it shows to Ten Hag that, we can have a bit of a break out the side. The world's not going to end. But Ricky, I mean, your thoughts on it, and also give us our average goals as well.
Average goals has gone up tonight to 1.54. So
get in.
Tull's not been involved in that conversation in the past, being pretty new. So last season we scored 57 goals, which is nowhere near enough, and it's an average of exactly 1.5 a game. The season before we scored one less, so near as damn it. That's exactly 1.5 a game, and we've just nudged above 1.5 a game tonight this season, 1.54. But to keep that up, we've got to keep getting ones and twos. We've got a couple of tough games left as well where we might not. So we're just above the 1.5, not by much, but we're just above it. And the argument last year, it was last year when Marcus was scoring loads of goals, and I said on here, loads of people said, where will we be without him, I said, if he doesn't play, we will still score 1.5 goals a game, don't worry about it.
We scored 4 tonight.
And then we've scored more, yeah, and he didn't play.
We did still concede 2 goals. One was a mistake and the other one was just bad defending.
We've got a plus goal difference.
Honestly, can I just say,
I thought I'd see it.
That second goal, Man United defend against a cutback, mission impossible. How many times do players just cut it back? I mean, Wan-Bissaka looked like he was running in treacle. Eriksen lost his man, I think it was. I mean, I think Harry Maguire should have closed down the space a bit better. There was multiple errors, but it's like, just defend a cutback. I mean, and then again, I don't blame any individual player for that, honestly. I blame the coaching staff because it's happened all season. Why are we not able to defend cutbacks? It's just so frustrating. But anyway, Ethan Wheatley has been in an interview and he said, Bruno pulled me to the side and told me I've got 9 minutes to try and get you a goal, which I think is really nice.
He nearly did as well, didn't he?
Captain.
We were talking about that, yeah.
Also, if Faz is watching, I'm just watching this Bruno goal back, ask me about what attributes does Bruno Fernandes has as a footballer. His striking ability is insane. That on his left foot is so good. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to move on to...
I've got to argue against that, Beth.
What?
His striking ability on his left foot is so good.
No, I didn't mean just his left foot. His striking ability in general is insane. Well, he scored with his left tonight. He scored with his left against Coventry.
What was the goal like against Coventry?
It was a fluke.
Oh, yeah.
It's a deflection, still went
Rashford
in.
run down the blind alley, wasn't it? And then he swiveled it.
7 in 6.
7 in 6. Seven goals
in 6 league games.
6 league games.
It was an absolutely cracking goal today. And I'd like somebody, if anybody knows in the chat, how many times previously, and how long's he been with us? 5 years? 4, 5 seasons? Has he ever scored from outside the box before for us with his left foot? And if it's more than once, I'll be surprised. When I say more than once, before tonight, so it might be 2 now.
Love the way that Ricky paid him a compliment, but then had to just bring him back down and go.
It's an absolutely fantastic strike, but you can't just say what a great strike he's got on him. I remember Vincent Kompany scoring a fantastic goal from 40 yards for City. Do you know what I mean? So, just because if somebody scores one fantastic goal with whichever foot it might be.
Bruno scored some really good
goals.
He
has, but we're talking about his left foot, aren't we?
Right.
Considering he broke...
He has scored some cracking goals.
Considering he broke the record for most goals and assists in a season by a midfielder, broke Frank Lampard's record, didn't he?
Is he?
He might be. He's not
really a midfielder,
he might
is
be.
he? We're
Midfielder.
short in midfield all the time because he's up the field too much. That's why we get ran through so much.
Yeah, the modern day game's changed.
He's more of a forward than a midfield player.
A forward midfield player.
Yeah, certainly
He's a midfielder
forward.
on Fantasy Premier League. So
Everybody calls him a midfield player.
Yeah.
Well, he does line up in midfield, but yeah, anyway. Also an interesting fact for you, Bruno has made the most passes to Hojlund out of any Man United player this season.
I would hope he has.
And they're not friends, apparently.
Shenanigans, super chat in saying Bruno made 9 chances, the most by anyone all season. Ricky doesn't like the chance creation.
What, tonight?
Yeah.
Did we have 9 chances tonight?
Oh, we had loads of chances.
Ricky doesn't like the chance
Garnacho spewed a few, didn't he? Diallo spewed one.
I love a lot of
I
chances.
think there was actually quite a few when you think about it.
What chances that?
At one stage, you thought their keeper was just going to have a worldie tonight, and it was not going to be our evening, but made some good saves.
Someone who made a good point, Rashford and Salah are classed as midfielders in Fantasy Premier League, but we won't do that. He lines up as a midfielder on the team sheet. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
But wanted to move on to Hull. Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, 2 players that Man United nearly sold to West Ham in the summer. Bet they're glad they didn't now, aren't they?
It's funny you bring it up because I had a chat with someone on the train about it. Especially Scott McTominay. Someone on the train was telling me we should sell Scott McTominay. We should have sold him to West Ham in the summer. And I said, how can we sell one of our top goal scorers when our striker's barely even getting 10 in a season? We can't sell Scott McTominay. Do I think Scott McTominay should be starting? No, to be honest with you, I don't think he should start in midfield personally. But I don't think you get much better to bring off the bench in the last 20 minutes.
Ahead of him, so?
I'd start Kobbie Mainoo ahead of him.
Yeah.
I would start... We've just had the debate about Bruno Fernandes. He's in the midfield. He's always taking up that midfield slot. Realistically, this season, I'd start Casemiro and Eriksen both ahead of him. Casemiro's a little bit, this season. He's going to go anyway next year. I'd definitely
Casemiro's been awful, I think, this season.
I'd definitely start Christian Eriksen over Scott McTominay in the midfield, 100%. But I do like having McTominay on the bench for the last 20 minutes. It's a bit like
I think he's a great squad player to have, and there's no doubt the goals that he scored this year. It's always a funny one because you can say he looked at selling McTominay, and in theory he's kind of kept Ten Hag in a job because the goals that McTominay has scored have been so vital, the ones against Brentford. And people can always look, but then you can go back to your argument, Ricky, where you could say, well, if we had sold Scott McTominay, somebody else would have scored the goals. Not necessarily true, but
not them very same goals.
Yeah.
We probably still would have scored a very similar amount of goals.
But they have been vital goals, haven't they?
I think Scott McTominay makes runs that nobody else in this team can make. Honestly.
That's what really surprised me, because
nobody else makes those runs that Scott McTominay makes.
If you start McTominay, I do think he gets a bit lost in the game. But if you're looking for an impact sub when you bring him on, if you're chasing a game, then how naturally is it just finding himself, even at Wembley at the weekend, he finds himself in that position. I know you were saying before that maybe Hojlund should kind of look at McTominay, but he does take up them. He's very, very natural the way he finds himself, the runs that he makes. He's just in the right place at the right time.
And Harry Maguire as well. Second header in 2 consecutive games, scored against his old club. Really important header, actually, because I was thinking, we're going to be in for a long evening here because they're just going to sit back and we're going to struggle to break them down. Scoring quickly helped us with the run of play. And, God, it was brilliant from where I was sat anyway. I know you said it looked offside to you, but anyway, VAR, thankfully, kept it on. But I honestly think Ten Hag taking the captaincy off Harry Maguire was one of the best things he could have done for him. Took all that pressure off his back. Wasn't in a situation where he had to play every game because he was captain, or he was coming on and taking the captain's armband for like 10 minutes here and there. Just took away that awkwardness. And, you can still lead without having the band. Like, you still can. I think Harry Maguire does do that from the back, actually. I actually think he's looked like a better leader since he's not been captain, actually, funnily enough. Because I think he's just getting on with his game, playing his game. And what I want to say is, fair play to him, because he got a lot of stick. Some of it deservedly so, because he had some poor performances in the United shirt. But he even got some stick in the summer when he was training with... Who was he training with? He was training with a really experienced centre-back, I think. And people were saying, Harry, just move on to West Ham, don't bother with that. But he got his head down, trained really hard. And, he might not be a starter for Man United in the future, but we've massively relied on him this season. He's played through injury for us. I mean, if we didn't play today, we wouldn't have even had a centre-back on the pitch. Yeah. And he's turned up with 2 really important goals now in the last 2 games. And I think he's playing really, really well. And credit to him, because he was really poor at one point and he's come out of that now. And I think he's showing a lot of his worth. And if he does move on in the summer, hope he gets a good move to play regularly. And if he stays as a squad player, not as a starter, as a squad player, I think he has attributes there that can be utilised. I think he's a great defender. Well, great is quite strong. I think he's a very good defender when he's defending his box, and that can be used, like we said on the build-up show, late on in games when you're trying to defend a lead. Also, when you're trying to get a goal, putting him in the final third, he's a target man.
I dread to think, like you say, it makes you realise, we're kind of patched up at the minute with Casemiro at the back. But at least you've got Maguire in next to him, who is a natural kind of central defender. But you think if we had sold him, who would we have played at the back this evening? It is a concern.
Well, people say we would have bought Kim Min-jae, which, yeah.
Well, it's easy enough to say, isn't it? But it's...
You never know United.
Yeah, well, yeah. But no, Maguire, I've been on here, I've slated him, performance-wise anyway. I didn't really realise why he turned down the opportunity to go to West Ham at that time. But at the end of the day, it's up to him. It is entirely up to him. He's got a contract at United that they give him. If he believes that going to West Ham, which in theory, we all know, probably is a step back. It's a step down for Harry Maguire to go from Manchester United to West Ham United. That's up to him. But the way he's responded, I think, has been he's shown a hell of a lot of class, hasn't he? When you look at somebody, I don't want to get into this debate, but an Anthony against Coventry, cupping his ears to the Coventry players. If you look at Harry Maguire, who then goes straight over to the Coventry players, shakes their hands, you know, well played lads or whatever. Probably knows how they feel, been in that position before. But yeah, like you say, he's had the captain's armband taken off him, but he still actually acts like a captain on the pitch. Although he's not going round, he'll still bark orders, you know, he'll do that because he'll deep down believe that he is still a captain. Yes, he hasn't got the armband on, but we need players like that.
And I think
leaders on the pitch.
The likes of Bruno can carry that weight, like it doesn't faze him. Yeah. People will criticise him, but players like people have different personalities. I think Maguire works better without that and just getting on and leading as a player. But like what I'll say is, when West Ham came in for him, I absolutely wanted him to go in the summer, like 100% honest. But he stayed, he's worked hard, and for him staying, he's just done exactly what I would have wanted him to do through staying. And, you know, he's coming up there for arguments in one of the best players, honestly, this season in terms of considering how poor we've been. And fair play to him. Do I think he's a regular starter for future seasons at the top level, competing for Premier Leagues? No, I don't. Do I think he can do a job as a squad player? And can we get some decent money for him if he does go? Yeah, and that's all you can ask for is when you step onto the pitch, play well. And he has done that this season. So, yeah, happy with that. Anything else to add, guys, on Maguire?
I'll just add one tiny little bit more. I thought he was fantastic when he came on against Liverpool in the Cup.
Yeah.
And we went man for man. 1 against 1 at the back is a real tricky situation, and I thought he was fantastic in that game.
The way he got forward as well, he looks dead comfortable carrying the ball out, and
just he's got a bit of confidence.
Yeah, just
he
never
did that
thought
against Coventry, didn't he? It wasn't that we were lofting the ball up to him; he was actually carrying the ball up himself all the way to the box. I like how he's really got a grip of things really this season. I thought he's in big high pressure moments like the Liverpool game. He's been getting a grip of the game himself, which we need more players who can do that. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good point. Getting the game by the scruff of its neck. That's a good one.
And he does it. And at least he looks like he actually wants to play for the club. You know, it's been a turbulent season. You're questioning certain players' mentality, whether they want to be at the club. You know, will there be a big summer clear out? He could have gone to West Ham last summer, but he's decided to stay. He's just knuckled down, ultimate professional. You know, I never thought I'd find myself saying these words on the United stand, but I am saying it because credit where credit's due. You know, I've slagged him off, poor performances, whatever. I've said that it could possibly be the worst signing United have ever made. I back down on it. I don't mind doing it because, you know, I take my hat off to him, man. He's done really well.
Yeah, I think
really well.
I think that's what we can say at the minute on Maguire. But some super chats in, then we're going to talk about Ahmad. SK says, we don't have vocal enough senior players, including Maguire. I think game management for this is a lot to do with the players. He has stepped up though, so props. Alex Marman says, United win and Liverpool bottle it. Ideal night. We love that.
Get in.
I mean, Amad Diallo started the downfall of Liverpool Football Club. Shenanigans says, Bruno made 9 chances, most by anyone all season. We've had that one. Niki says, has Rashford lost a yard of pace? Back injury. He does look like he has lost a bit of a yard of pace, but I don't know what it is. Patrice Evra says, is it just me or does Kev look like Hugh Jackman?
I love this game.
You get a load of lookalikes, don't you, Kev?
Yeah.
Mr. Toffertot says, I want to hear some thought about Anthony. I feel he gives it all every game. The quality will come. It's the desire that is what we need. We'll talk about that in a second. All Sweat No Banter says, Bruno was off the Richter scale today. Messi-esque performance, walking with purpose and finding gaps. Maguire was excellent at football philosophy.
You just say Messi-esque?
Yeah.
Wow.
Benjamin Stenning says, the concern now is the run-in. Newcastle have some easy games, but we have Arsenal, Liverpool as well, and an FA Cup final and Europe.
Liverpool, what?
We don't play Liverpool this season. No. We play Arsenal second game to last in the
league.
league.
And we don't have Europe games either.
We've got Brighton away, haven't we?
What are you talking about, Benjamin? What are you
Somebody's
talking
been asleep
about?
for months and just woke up and gone, yeah, we've got Liverpool in the FA Cup.
You're looking at the wrong fixtures, mate.
We beat them, mate.
Rudolph the Red. Oh, we've done that one about Ricky on thoughts on Bruno. He said he was good. And Classic says Casemiro was good. I thought Casemiro was a lot better today, to be honest.
A lot better.
A lot better. So happy with that.
We've just got to get through this period. I said to you off air, I was like, Burnley, if we can just get through this at the weekend, we don't play again till the Monday night, isn't it, Crystal Palace. hopefully to Christ we can get some defenders back or try and get something back there, because it's patched up. You know, we've got away with it in these last 2 games. We might just get through Burnley, but hopefully, I don't know whether a Varane or somebody, and it just gives us such a lift going, you know, into the FA Cup final at the end of the season. But God, I pray.
I mean, we need some centre-backs back.
Yeah.
Johnny Evans, Varane, like Lindelof, anyone.
Just anyone.
Just
at
not
this point.
Lissandro too early again.
Yeah.
And get him injured
Don't
again.
rush him back now.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about Anthony and Ahmad. First off, we'll talk about Ahmad. I mean, Ricky, you said you wanted to wait to speak about Ahmad. So what did you think of his cameo?
Absolutely fantastic again. Absolutely different gravy. His touch, his movement, his awareness. As soon as he came on the park, I'm not going to go at Bruno here. I'm bigging up at Ahmad, but Bruno gave him 2 awful long balls. One that he had to race towards the corner flag and it bounced up this side and he couldn't quite keep it in. But then the next one into the box.
This is the diagonal.
I think it was going to go out for a goal kick.
Right
He
in
did
front of me.
absolutely unbelievable to reach it. But not just reach
he held it
I
up.
was gobsmacked when he got hold of it. I was gobsmacked. But he got hold of it. Not sure if he beat a man. I can't wait to see it. I'm not sure if he beat a man or just held it away from a man. But he certainly did a little bit of a movement with his feet.
He had about 3 players on him and he ended up still with the ball.
And he rolled it off to Bruno. And this is what I love about him. It was the shot where Bruno shot for the near post and the keeper palmed it wide. We got a corner. We got the penalty from the corner. What I love about football is you do not know what's going to happen next. Now, any of our other wingers, maybe Anthony might have got to it and trapped it. Rashford wouldn't have kept it in a million years. Neither would Garnacho. Maybe Anthony, but I fancy not. It was absolute class by Ahmad, and we actually got a goal from that. So if he doesn't get it under control and doesn't pass it to Bruno, the butterfly effects, you know, the ball goes out for a goal kick, another half a minute goes by, and they get it up the park. Maybe 5 or 10 minutes goes by without us creating another chance. Maybe we don't win that game, but for him getting hold of that ball, we actually scored from that corner kick. Every tiny little thing on a football pitch is that important if you do it right. And what he did was fantastic. And the way he laid it off to Bruno, it was a lovely layoff. Bruno had a shot. At the weekend, he laid the ball off to Bruno when Bruno hit the bar. Again, superb bit of play. And there's a tiny little bit of play that loads of people won't realise how good it is, where he killed the ball on the edge of the box and just passed it about a yard, and Forson had a shot, and I think the keeper tipped it over or it just went over. He's absolutely class at seeing who he should give the ball to around the edge of the box. Not just that, his all play. If the manager doesn't start giving him... The manager might know better than I do. He might say he's not ready to play a full game. If he plays a full game and plays like that, then the manager's an idiot. If he plays a full game and plays crap, then it's me who's an idiot. Let's give him a full game and see. That's what I'd like to say to the manager.
It either. Yeah.
Let's give him a full game.
I've likened it
Absolutely
when Wilfried
fantastic
Zaha was at United. And at the time, United weren't great under David Moyes, but we had Zaha there. And I remember at the same time, I liken it to this being like the modern day kind of headache back then, where fans were saying to like David Moyes, why ain't you starting Zaha? You know, he's a young player, plays out in the wing, attacking player, just never played him for whatever reason, might have brought him on for the last 1 or 2 minutes, and you're like, what's the point? And the same thing now is happening with Ahmad, where I'm looking and thinking, why is he not getting game time? Because he is coming on, he's having an effect. That wasn't just a one-off game against Liverpool. You know, the fact he come on and scored that goal, he's not just living off that. Fans are now kind of beating that drum where they want to see him start a game. And today was, a big one, because I'm thinking, well, Rashford's injured. Is Ahmad going to start? And he didn't. He went with his lad, Anthony. Fair enough, I get it. But Ahmad did nothing wrong today.
To me, we've got 4 wingers, and he's the best. I think the manager's getting it all the way wrong way round. I think Ahmad, he's got him as his... I don't know if they think like this. Do they think like this? Surely he doesn't think, he's the worst player. I'm hardly ever going to give him a minute. But whether he thinks like that or not, he certainly doesn't give him a chance. It's only because we're desperate that he's getting a chance tonight. If Rashford was fit tonight, he probably would have played, and probably Anthony would have come on as sub, and he might have come on with a minute to go.
I thought that in the build-up.
You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous what's going on with the kid. Give him a couple of games and let's see if he can do it from the start. From what I've
think
seen,
that Ten Hag
against Liverpool for half an hour, against Coventry, again, I've just mentioned 2 chances that he created. Again tonight, he's just different class. Give the kid a chance.
Do you think Ten Hag picks Anthony purely for the price that he paid for him over Ahmad? Do you think if Anthony...
It's got to be a big help for Anthony, hasn't it? It's got to be. The manager's given 80 million quid for him. Was it 80
as
million?
an investment, yeah, it's up near
You know, he's going to look a bit of an idiot if he doesn't give
That's
him
always my argument. I would say, you know, if Anthony cost, I don't know, £100,000 from Stockport County, at this moment in time, would Ten Hag's thinking have been different tonight, or is he trying to cut his nose off to spite his face, where he's like, bloody hell, I made some investment in this. You know, I brought this player in saying he's my guy from Ajax. You know, he keeps talks him up really good, but, you know, he's not really backing it up on the pitch, where at the minute, I think the fan opinion would be that Ahmad, you know, would or should start over him. But
the reason I really like Ahmad, and I agree with what you say, Ricky, I think it's criminal the amount of game time he's had, and I think he needs more game time. Yeah, okay, he's not pulling up any trees in terms of, you know, goals, assists. That goal against Liverpool, though, was brilliant. I'm saying he's not pulling up any trees in terms of goal and assist, but he's not getting the time. That's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying. I've not finished. He's not got the time yet, but what you can see from him, and I said, even if he didn't score that amazing goal against Liverpool, I still would have been saying that performance was brilliant because just the touches that he had. And I actually think one thing that you can see with him, he's a lot stronger than you initially think as well. He wins the ball well, he jumps in the air, like he wins headers. And like you said, he just gives it and goes. He's always looking up, he's always seeing. He's really good at getting into good positions in the box and then finding runners on the edge of the box. I've noticed he's good at that. So I really would like to see him get more game time, but I don't think it'll happen.
My concern is that usually when you've got a young player like that and you have this vision for them you want to use them in the future, you've got a plan for them, you've got to give that player time to develop them, the same way Ten Hag's done it with Kobbie Mainoo. We all knew this season that it was going to be a big season for Kobbie Mainoo because the game time he got the pre-season. We all knew he was going to be an integral part of the squad. It's like he's never really gave Ahmad that, and it's almost like he's not got a plan for him. It's almost like he's expendable. It's almost like, and don't forget, we spent 40 million quid on Ahmad, and it's been quite a while now. When did we sign him? 2020? It's been a while. Is it 2020?
I think it was.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It wasn't 40 mil straight up. That was with a lot of add-ons in whether he played certain games and stuff like that. So I don't know.
But the main point is usually when you've got a plan for a player, you get that player in and develop them, you let them develop, you give them time.
We don't do that to any signing, though.
I suppose Mainoo's an example of it happening. I know he's not a signing, but he's come from the academy.
Yeah.
And there was an obvious plan for Mainoo this season, which was halted by the injury. He got injured in pre-season. But everyone knew he was going to be an integral part of the season from the pre-season because everyone knew we were going to use him. I just feel like we've never gave Ahmad that time of day, and it's concerning, to be honest with you. What really is our plan with Ahmad?
A change of managers doesn't help either, does it? Because we have got players that are in this squad that have been past managers have signed, and maybe they had faith. Solskjaer, wasn't it, that signed Ahmad? Yeah. So from that sense, you know, if Solskjaer would have still been at United and been successful, maybe he did have a big plan for him. And you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, you know. Ten Hag might look at him and not fancy him and think, I know all of us think he's great and we're banging our heads.
That because
it's almost like, does he train well, or is there something that he sees where he's going, actually, you know, I don't know. That's the only, like you say, logical explanation.
Well, there's been plenty of times where you can get him in the team this season. There's plenty. I mean, all season long, you could drop Rashford, and Garnacho's been playing on the right. Garnacho's main position's on the left anyway. Then all he's got ahead of him to start is Anthony. He's only got one player in that hypothetical hierarchy. He's only got to jump one spot to be starting every week, and either way, he'd be on the bench anyway. And he'd be getting regular game time coming off the bench for Anthony. So it's almost like, I feel like Ten Hag's not got a plan for him. In fact, it won't surprise me if he leaves in the next couple of years.
That's what I was about to say, because I am really worried that he's going to leave in the summer.
And be the one that got away.
I wouldn't blame him for going if he can't get more game time. But I'm going to be gutted if he goes and then we don't know what could have been. If he doesn't turn out to be what we think he could be, okay, well, we've tried it. I would be gutted if he left and then we wouldn't know. But Ricky, did you want to come in and say something?
Yeah, I've just looked up the minutes played. Under 126 minutes he's played in the league now after getting half a game
This
season. So before tonight, it would have been, well, he's played, how long did he get tonight? Half a game? Did he come on at
he got about 30 minutes.
30 minutes. So if you knock 30 minutes off that, he comes to 90 minutes.
In fact, he probably got
close to the game.
Probably
He's played
close to
one
45
game
minutes
before
to this evening,
one game. You know what I mean? In comparison, Palestri, we also moaned about him not getting enough game time. 165 minutes. He's not played as many minutes as Palestri.
That to me screams that he's not in Ten Hag's plans. To be honest with you, I mean, that's not a lot.
I don't get it. Like I say, what's the worst that could happen?
Certainly not enough time to score any goals.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying he should have, but that's what people will be thinking. Oh, but he's not done this, but. That's what I'm saying. My point was he's not had the time to do that, and it's just his performances in general have been quality.
Yeah. And whenever he's coming on in a game, you can tell he's trying too hard to impress. It'd be nice to see him start a game and let him settle into his groove, whereas he's either being introduced when we're getting beat late on in a game where it's absolutely pointless bringing him on for 4 or 5 minutes of a game, and it's almost like he's trying too hard. He's not doing anything wrong, but if you give him a run of games, 2-3 games actually starting, this is where Garnacho started as well, weren't there? There was moments where we were like, is he better as an impact player where he comes on? Regularly started games for United and they were bringing him off. Remember, Ten Hag went through a stage of starting Garnacho at half-time, bringing him off, because he just didn't have that same impact. But Garnacho has stepped up this season, become a first-team player, solely because he's put the effort in and he's shown like a run of form that he can do it.
Garnacho only became a starter in about November, because I remember it was that game against Villa when we were 2 goals down and we were screaming to just go, let Garnacho have a go on the right, and then he played on the right against Villa and he was brilliant. So he had to work his way into the team and he's stayed there now. I don't think he's missed. How many games has he missed since he's come in?
Yeah.
With Ahmad, one thing you would say, he came on when we were at 2-2, was it? When did he come on?
No, 2-1 actually.
2-1 down.
Sure
when we were 2-1 down, we ended up winning 4-2. So interesting stuff.
Could have been 1-1 actually. It was early.
2-1 down we were.
Was it?
SK says, Ahmad has had it tough early. Martial, Greenwood, Alanga, Dan James and Anthony. Yeah, I mean, he's been here for longer than what it feels like, to be honest with you. But anyway, guys, the hour is up, so we'll do man of the match.
Nope.
Kev?
Bruno. It has to be.
It's got to be Bruno. But honourable mention, first half, I was delighted with Diogo Dalot's performance. And I said that against Coventry as well. So, very happy with him at the moment.
Rick?
Bruno played really, really well tonight, but I have been.
But Ricky would rather put his head in the bin than
but you've just stole me thunder a little bit, because I already had this in my head before you've just asked the question. But Ahmad coming on the pitch at 2-1 down and we win 4-2. Ahmad.
Big call.
Big call. When Ricky likes a player, he likes him.
Yeah.
Ricky's.
And when he hates him, he really hates him as well.
You've earned Ricky's seal of approval now. Wow. Mine, obviously, is Bruno. I just think he was out of this world tonight, and that's the Bruno I know and love.
Whatever Ahmad goes on to achieve in his career, whatever he wins, if he wins a Champions League, World Cup, whatever, he'll never get a bigger accolade than what Ricky giving him man of the match.
Especially when Bruno played that well.
Yeah.
But
I love the way Ricky threw that. Bruno was all right today. But
he played very well, Bruno. He needs to stop running offside, though. Yeah.
Well, anyway, guys, that is the show. It is about 20 to midnight now. So that's in the UK. Wherever you're watching from over the world, I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, it wasn't the most exciting game, but there was 6 goals out of it in the end, and we got the 3 points, and that is all what matters. Hopefully back to winning ways. Ten Hag has to do it again on Saturday. He has to win. These are games we've got to win. Into the Europa League spot now in 6th. So, it will be, because if City wins the FA Cup, which is probably
if we finish 6th, we're in the Europa League. Whatever happens, either we win the FA Cup or we finish 6th and City win the cup.
Exactly. So. That's what we want, because I don't want Conference League. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the show. Ricky, thank you very much. Great to have you back.
Enjoyed it, thank you.
Tull, great to have you on again.
My pleasure.
Do a show with you. And Kev.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed that. 3 points.
It's good to be back in the studio. But look, everyone, thanks for watching. Have a lovely rest of your day. We'll be back with the morning show tomorrow. And yeah, everyone, have a good one.